Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is Dobby, the kitty of the day. He just got his balls lopped off last night. Now, if you like seeing this show, and if you like hearing my hot takes Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, that's the goal. We don't always make it. Wasn't here yesterday. I'm sorry. We'll talk about that in the show. A little late today, but hey, that's the goal. That's roughly the time you should expect to see me. We don't always make it. Well, if you want that, or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. Good morning. It's November 20th. What's today? Thursday. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. I got a little workout in today. Had some breakfast. Feeling pretty good. Sorry I wasn't here for you guys yesterday, but it is what it is. Just a rough day. I've told you guys part of the reason why my current setup is the way it is. I drive my wife to and from work. She's epileptic, so we kind of became to a crossroads once her seizures started getting worse. So hey, what are we going to do? We're like, well, I'll drive you to and from work. And last night she was have what is called an aura. She was starting to feel it coming on a little bit, and so she kind of hit the old escape button. She left work a little bit early, so I ended up having to pick her up around 4 in the morning. So I ended up only getting a few hours of sleep. Point being is I just had no sleep, so there was no way I was coming in yesterday. I mean, I guess I could have, but it would have been. I would have been trying to squeeze water out of a rock. There wasn't there's sort of a lot of news going on though, but at the same time it also was fine. It was, for me at least, it was a good day to miss a day so far as news or what information's out there. So I think it's better coming in a little bit refreshed today. So yeah, I'm here with you guys today. We have plenty to go through. We have Let Them Have Epstein files. Obviously, to kind of start off the show, we'll go into our Icebreaker stories, clips, and the like that we usually do when we start off the show. In that, we'll be talking about Jeffrey Epstein's purported micro penis. Then we'll pop in and say our good mornings to chat, see how all of you guys are doing. And then we'll get into the foreign policy portion of the show. And then after that, we'll get into the main topics. And the first one being Let Them Have Epstein files, which is just a grab bag of a shitload of Epstein stuff. I had to actually put some things aside and go, we're going to have to cover that tomorrow. There's just too much Epstein stuff right now. I know everyone's saying they're flooding the field, and that is probably part of the tactic. Who knows? But that tactic's not going to work when you have more and more people like me popping up in this world. If you're going to flood the field, well, motherfucker, I'm going to swim in it. That's what I do Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. If there's any time for there to be Epstein fatigue, now is the time. I have more than enough time to process all of this and let you guys know what's nonsense and what's not, or at least give you a better idea of that. We'll work through all that together. Our second topic, we have Furry Assassins, which is kind of a little bit of we'll be mostly focusing on crooks for that one. There's been some info come out. I actually am a little bit on the border of whether he's a furry or not. We'll have to dig through that together and kind of come to determination. It seems kind of like that might be a little bit of a sloppy slop going around. Then we have Trump's shady friends, which is kind of grab bag of just kind of weird people surrounding him. These are kind of bookmarks have accumulated over time. Just kind of just throughout the Trump administration, especially doing what I do. You kind of just a little, every now and then you're like, do you hear this thing about that one person? Did you hear that thing about that one? And then you're like all these weird people who are around the Trump administration. You're just like, what a bunch of fucking weirdos. And so we're gonna pull together some of the weirdness and point out how they're weirdos. But let's go ahead and get into our icebreaker stuff for today. Let's get into it. Let's check and see what we got. Like I said, we'll be talking a little bit about Jeffrey's mycopeener. But to start it off, I just thought this one is funny. This guy fucking gets it. The Toyota chairman Akio Toyota spotted in full Trump gear. So I just thought this was funny. This guy gets it. This is literally the for those who are big fans of South Park back in the day. This is but our penis so small and your penis is so big. You're so big. This is that in real time. I didn't think that was a prophecy from Matt Stone and Trey Parker, but here is what did he say he was? He was the head guy for Toyota. So here you go. I just think this is a funny visual for the audio people. Sorry, just imagine a little Asian man and just fucking dripped out in Trump gear. The funny thing is this shit actually probably works too. All right, moving on. You kind of, I guess, focusing on our ridiculous president. Watch this clip and tell me what you guys think. This seems a little bit perhaps of an overreaction. Let's watch this.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. You're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single
That's weird.
single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no money to me. But he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's, your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something. I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong.
Once again, kind of going to this instinct he seems to have, this weird kind of mafiosa mob shit right there. Kind of, you should be, I don't know if maybe you should be having your license with those sort of fake news, which they did with the whole the Jimmy Kimmel thing a while ago, making Kimmel out to be the hero, which is what a bizarre turn of events. But let's catch that question again. I want to see. Seemed pretty reasonable to me, but let's recap. Let's see what it was.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
Why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now? Perfectly reasonable response. Moving on, let's talk about, did Epstein have a little peener? We just talked about how big Trump's is, so saith the Asian man. But apparently there's a rumor going around that Jeffrey Epstein has a little peener. But any man who's ever been in a relationship with a woman, ever, and that relationship has ever ended, they're going to tell everyone that you have a little peener. So, I don't know. We'll see. Well, what is this based off of? Is this based off of angry ex-girlfriends? Because I have a feeling Jeffrey Epstein probably has a lot of them. So there's probably a lot of people out there spreading little wiener rumors. I'm open to him having a little wiener, but I'm just saying you gotta filter it through who the information is coming from. So let's get into what the people came here for. What is a micropenis? All about the condition that may have plagued Hitler and Jeffrey Epstein. It says last week, 80 years after his death, Adolf Hitler made headlines for surprise and reason. By the way, this is the New York Post. DNA analysis determined that he may have had a micropenis. Okay, I guess I can tell you genetically. The Nazi dictator was found to have a genetic disorder called Kallmann syndrome, which can delay or prevent puberty and result in underdeveloped sexual organs. And the revelations about dead men's anatomy keeps coming. In an interview this week, Jeffrey Epstein, Rena O, claimed that the convicted pedophile had an extremely deformed penis, which was probably like 2 inches fully erect. I need to ask this lady about his dick. I don't feel like it's an appropriate question to ask. Oh, who says she was groomed by Epstein made the remarks in a recent Substack interview with Tina Brown. The 46-year-old said she didn't believe he was able to have penetrative sex. I mean, maybe that would be maybe explain a little bit more of the massages, but I just feel like we'd have heard about that. I mean, there's also these... I don't remember the sourcing on this because it's not something I really make a point to remember the sourcing, but I do vaguely recall one of the victims saying something about having like an egg-shaped penis or something, which, I mean, I guess to be fair, we didn't ask how big the egg was. Are we talking quail eggs? But I just feel like an egg-shaped penis, you're going to, I don't know, imagine larger than 2 inches. All right, let's keep going. I guess, here we go. Never mind. Some people have described it as the shape of an egg. I think it was more of the shape of a lemon, and it was really small. Though she didn't call his appendage a micropenis specifically, her estimate of its size would land in that category. Hey, if there's any man who deserves this, though, I guess it is Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, well, I guess now we're getting into... Now the rest of the article seems to be the scientific side of micropenises, which I guess, fuck it, let's do it. How big is a micropenis? A micropenis is a penis that's significantly smaller than average. What's average? What's average? It's only like 3 inches, right, guys? Right? Based on correct measurement, a micropenis or microphallus is classified by certain lengths at different ages. I guess that makes sense. Newborns less than 3/4 of an inch. Yikes! All the newborns out there whipping out the tape measure real quick. All right. Well, what you guys really want to know is adults less than 2.9. Are we talking soft? That's got to be hard. There's no way soft because I feel like 2.9 soft is not bad. Maybe I'm releasing too much info here, but there's a huge variation depending on temperature and how. While this condition doesn't affect how the penis works, it's an extremely rare condition affecting about 1.5 in 10,000 newborns in the U.S. I love how they just included a picture of him cheesing, like this is the face of a little dick, just like right below that. What causes a micropenis? While it can occur on its own, a micropenis is often associated with several other health issues. Main cause is fetal testosterone deficiency, when a male fetus doesn't produce enough testosterone during development due to genetic disorders or issues with the testicles, hypothalamus, or pituitary gland. Fetal testosterone deficiency itself can be caused by a few different conditions: Prader-Willi syndrome, hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, that was a fun word to say, then Kallmann syndrome as well. All right, I think I'm bored with getting to the specifics of it. I do think it's awesome, though, you're going to the visuals here. What an awesome photo of Hitler to pick to tell to the world that he might have had a micropenis, like one of the hardest album cover looking photos ever. And then the article is how he had a syndrome that probably gave him a little peener. How is it diagnosed? A doctor will gently stretch the penis and measure from tip to base. Okay, now we know more than we wanted to know today. Let's move on. Let's check into the chat. Let's say our good mornings. I hope you guys got joy out of that like I did, because I don't know, something about that's funny. Like, I almost was like, Jeffrey didn't deserve this, but obviously, I guess if anyone did, it's him. All right, let's roll the chat. Say good mornings. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Knife Safety Plus. It says Bubba didn't blow himself. Good morning, Mulgara. Saying he was in D.C. all day 2 days ago for the Epstein stuff. Shout out to Massey for giving me a pass to be in the House Gallery for the vote. I got to see it in person. Hell yeah. Good morning, Che Coho. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning, Daz. Good morning, afternoon, where you're at, I guess. Good morning, King David. Says hit that like button. Yes, please do, people. Help a brother out. I guess Mulgara had to see Randy Fine in person. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Good morning. Hey, say what now? Good morning. Good morning, Goddess. Good morning. Good morning, Comment Mama. Good morning, Marna Mac. Good morning. Knife Safety says the White House decorum looks like dog shit. Looks like it was done by Indians and not the casino kind. Yeah, I've heard the little bits. I've delved into those stories of the reconstruction and all the different stuff they're doing over there. It is pretty gaudy and pretty gross. Not a fan. Although I try not to make a big thing of it. Good morning, Tilla Spook. Good morning. Good. Micro penis is classified 2 inches stretched out. Thanks for letting us know that, Marna Mac. Maybe the rabbi took too big of a bite, says Comment Mama. Yeah. Good morning, aggressively agreeing. Says if there's any report that will get Jeffrey Epstein to come out of hiding and declare the journalist is lying, it's this one. That is actually, maybe this is some like 8D chess right there to shake him out of hiding. Just keep churning out stories about what a weird little peener he has. Not gonna lie, New York Post talking about Hitler peeing is pretty gay, says Knife City Plus. I know, I'm totally here for it. I think it's hilarious. Good morning, everybody. Yes, you were right, Marnamac. They literally stretch the doctor gets behind you. He kind of nestles his chin just perfectly, kind of like on your shoulder, and then he kind of just puts his hand around, and then zip, and then he just kind of squeezes gently, squeezes the tip, and then just kind of tickles your tummy as he just kind of gently pulls it out. That's the methodology there. All right, guys, let's get into some foreign policy. We've said our good mornings. Let's check in on the latest. We've got Venezuela's Maduro saying he's ready to hold face-to-face talks with U.S. officials. This coming after Trump saying there might be discussions. So, hey, looking a little bit good. Maybe we won't go to full-on war with the Mexicans. Venezuelan President Maduro made clear on Monday that he'd be willing to hold face-to-face talks with U.S. officials and warned Trump against starting a war with his country. So in the U.S., whoever wants to talk with Venezuela will talk face-to-face without any problem, Maduro said in his weekly TV program. Comments that came after Trump suggested that his administration may be holding talks with the Venezuelan government. But Trump also told reporters on Monday that he wouldn't rule out sending troops into Venezuela, and the major U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean continues. Maduro said that if Trump ordered military strikes on Venezuela, it would be the biggest mistake of his life. Well, let's check in on the American people, see how they think about it. According to them, 21% of Americans support using the military to oust Maduro. Well, what's the inverse of that? 79% don't. This is a new Reuters Ipsos poll that found 21% of Americans support the idea. Now, the results are similar to a YouGov poll conducted in September that found just 18% of Americans supported it. So a little bit of an uptick, but not much. The Reuters poll found that 31% of respondents would favor ousting Maduro through other means, but sanctions and U.S.-backed coup in recent years have failed to remove the Venezuelan leader. So still not very popular. It does, the feeling, at least for me, looking at it, seems like they're kind of being tepid right now. They're kind of in a staying pattern, feeling it out. So who knows? Hopefully this vibe continues. It doesn't seem like this is a popular idea damn near anywhere. All right, popping in on Israel, seeing what they're doing. Well, it's been too long with too few deaths. Israel couldn't have it. Their bloodlust was not satiated. They launched major strikes yesterday, killing at least 28 Palestinians, including 17 women and children. So they claimed that its forces came under fire in Khan Yunis, which is in southern Gaza. It provided no evidence, as usual. And according to Israeli media, there were no casualties among the IDF troops, and the attack occurred on the Israeli-occupied side of the Yellow Line. Hamas later denied that its fighters fired on Israeli troops and called the claim a weak and exposed attempt to justify their ongoing crimes and violations. Following the alleged incident, the IDF unleashed strikes on Gaza City. So essentially they got attacked and they use that as reason to kill a bunch of people. Totally reasonable, right? Palestinian news agency Wafa reported that one Israeli strike targeted the Ministry of Awqaf and Religious Affairs in southeastern Gaza City, killing at least 10 people, including 2 women and 3 children. Al Jazeera reported that a family of 5 in Gaza City's Zetouin neighborhood was wiped out by Israeli strikes. So in southern Gaza, Wafa reported that at least 4 Palestinians were killed by Israeli strikes on the Al-Mawasi temp camp on the coast. The news agency also said that an Israeli attack on a neighborhood of Khan Yunis killed 2 children. The Israeli escalation came 2 days after the UN Security Council passed a resolution affirming President Trump's so-called ceasefire deal that places the Gaza Strip under the control of the U.S.-led board. Now, obviously, this is significant considering that they're murdering dozens of people. Since the ceasefire was supposed to go into effect on October 10th, the Trump administration has backed Israel's continued attacks on Palestinians. Gaza Health Ministry said earlier in the day that since October 10th, Israeli forces have killed 280 Palestinians and injured 670. The strikes on Wednesday bring the total death toll during the ceasefire to more than 300. Bear in mind, this is supposed to be during a fucking ceasefire. So, great. I know a lot of you guys probably have caught on that Saudi Arabia has been the old MBS was visiting recently. So I don't know. I could have played maybe some of the clips, and there's some chatter about what he had to say about Khashoggi. Maybe we'll come back to that tomorrow. We have plenty of other stuff to talk about, but I think the significant thing here is that Trump designated Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally. Now, the significance of this is, my understanding is this is essentially giving them some level of a security pact, which falls in line with what we just did with Qatar. So we set a dangerous precedent. For those, a little bit of a reminder, what happened. Doha, Qatar, got attacked by Israel, that's a spot where we have a United States base. So we were refueling these planes that were likely bombing the base at which the planes were on. And attacking, well, actually, I don't think it was the base, but it was the nation. So it's literally the host nation that we're assisting attacking. And kind of to make up for all that, we granted them a security deal, essentially along the lines of kind of like a NATO type deal that, like, if you get attacked, we're going to help, and which is not good. That's how you end up with situations like World War I. So not great, especially when it's like, hey, you could easily get this under control by not letting Israel fucking murder people. Like, stop giving them money, essentially. That would probably solve this problem a lot, instead of promising to murder other people for blanket conditions. Just a thought. But apparently Saudi Arabia is one of these now, so that's concerning. So on Tuesday night, Trump announced he's designated Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally in the U.S., after he and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman signed a new security pact dubbed the U.S.-Saudi Strategic Defense Agreement. He says, I'm pleased to announce that we are taking our military cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally, which is something that's very important to them. And I'm just telling you for the first time, because I want to keep it a little secret for tonight, the president said at the dinner he hosted for MBS. It gives countries priority access to U.S. military equipment. Saudi Arabia will purchase F-35 fighter jets and 300 U.S.-made tanks. It said it will also make it easier for U.S. defense firms to operate in Saudi Arabia. And it affirms that Riyadh views the U.S. as a primary strategic partner. I'm just trying to skim through here if there's anything. It says it's unclear at this point if the SDA includes any sort of mutual defense guarantee for Saudi Arabia, something Riyadh was seeking. So maybe more on that, but either way, we're getting more embroiled militarily with these individuals. It's concerning for sure. All right, moving on. What's going on in Ukraine? Apparently, we're once again pushing for peace. So we'll see. We've kind of waffled back and forth on that. It says the U.S. has signaled to Zelensky that Ukraine must accept a U.S.-drafted proposal to end the war with Russia that would involve Ukraine ceding territory and accepting limits on its military. Reuters reported on Wednesday. Also reported the U.S. has drafted the proposal with Russian input and is asking for Ukraine to cede the territory it still controls in the eastern Donbass region, where Russian forces continue to make gains. In the southern Kherson and Zaporizhia Oblast, the battle lines would mostly be frozen in place, though Russia would return some land in certain areas. So essentially kind of the old deals that they've been pushing around here and there, this idea that they're going to have to give up some land to Russia. That's been one of the big sticking points throughout this. So it looks like that's the push again. And the United States seems to be on board is what they're saying. So we'll see. I don't have a ton of hope, but we'll see. Moving on, we're up to 97 bombs in Somalia, so we're 3 away. 3 more to go, guys. We're getting triple digits. Woohoo, big records. Isn't that great? So up to 97. All right, let's pop in the chat, see what you guys got to say, and then we'll get into the main topics for today. Let's see who all's in there. Good morning, Eris Legacy. He says, came into micropene methodology. Yes, you did. Good morning, Retardo. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, IB Denmark. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Nevsky. Saying good morning to the fellow dumpheads. Good morning, good morning. Tilla Spook says the silver lining is also what Steve Portnoy calls his coin clipping. This is a good one. All right, let's get into the main topics for today. Let's check in on the latest from Trump. We're getting into Epstein stuff. It says Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats. By the way, if I wasn't clear enough, this is Trump. This is a Truth Social post. Was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed. Because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. I say it like that because it was all in caps. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate, respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. My direction, the DOJ has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever even speak about him. Jesus Christ, this posts get longer and longer. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill. Strong borders, no women in women's sports, transgender for everyone, ending DI, stopping bias records, yada 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 yada. God, it's so long. Yada 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 yada. Okay. Then for years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, Ukraine, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country and have been done to confuse, deflect, and distract from the great job, oh my God, it's exhausting, that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats, just as all the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. God, I need a moment after that post. Holy shit, he's Ackman posting. Okay, so the main crux there is him, hey, I signed the bill to release it, which, that's what happened. Past day or two, since I've been talking to you guys last, the stuff went through. I think it went through Congress. It went through, I believe, Senate. It went through all the places. It went to went up to Trump's office, and he has signed it. Now, I do think there was perhaps some political chicanery along the way. We may get into that a little bit, but that is a crux of it. Obviously, a huge focus on no Democrat. Now it's we're really leading into it. Now they want to do it, and now we're going to investigate these people now. So complete 180. So we'll see. Moving on. Let's hear from Bondi. Now that he's directed her to do some investigations, let's see what she has to say. Give me a second. Of course, the audio's out.
New information, and would you limit the new information?
All right, let's try that again.
The issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate, because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. you're on point.
So we got a pending investigation now. Which my buddy Clint says, okay, so now we've gone from we're releasing the files to here are the binders to Democrat traffic to no one to it's a Democrat hoax to the disclosures are being required to law to this, a new investigation with new info, which will seal the docs again. And more to this, apparently there's language within the bill itself that seems to back up this idea. Let's look through this. This is from Disclosed TV, saying the Epstein Files bill grants Attorney General Pam Bondi the authority to withhold or redact any material that can endanger national security or jeopardize an active federal investigation. Although, I don't know, that's not surprising. That is totally makes sense. But, for example, here we go. Here in the wording, it says right here, permitted withholdings. The Attorney General may withhold or redact the segregable portion of records that contain personally identifiable information of victims or victims' personal and medical files and similar files, disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. Depict or contain CSAM as defined under whatever code. C, would jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution provided that such withholding is narrowly tailored and temporary. Of course, they're always temporary. And then also, here's another portion that's on that. A, if the Attorney General makes a determination that covered information may not be declassified and made available in a manner that protects the national security of the United States, including methods or sources related to national security. Methods or sources is a big one. That's what they're talking about whenever they're talking about intelligence agencies. These are methods and sources. Well, let's listen to Thomas Massey and hear about his concerns with these such things.
Well, today's a great day. Yesterday, we passed the Epstein resolution to release the files with a 427-1 majority. This comes after 5 months of battling the Speaker. And frankly, the President, the FBI Director, the Attorney General, the Vice President, they were all working against something they had initially been for. But what we accomplished was we got the people's house to work. Even though the Speaker of the House didn't want to do the people's will, we used something called a discharge petition. And it even surprised me when we got to the finish line how quickly things happened. Once it passed in the House, the Speaker of the House urged the Senate to modify the bill. He didn't like it, but he had lost control of the House here, and we got the bill passed exactly as Ro Khanna and I wrote it. But before it even went to the Senate, they agreed by unanimous consent to pass the bill before they even received it. I've never seen the Senate move this fast. They didn't change a word of it or any punctuation. And so I expect today or very soon the President will sign the bill to release the Epstein files. And it's a quick timeline in there. We said that within 30 days they have to release these files. And we put some very tight guardrails on the things that they could redact. There's concern that the President's going to open a bunch of investigations to keep the disclosures from happening. Here's the reality. There are 1,000 victims of Epstein's sex trafficking ring. There are dozens of perpetrators. There's no way he can open enough investigations to keep us from getting the files that will implicate most of these men. So I think we're going to see justice. I'm excited. If there's any hope, you've seen it here today and yesterday here in the House of Representatives that we can actually get a bill passed if the people want it bad enough. Thank you.
Well, I'm pretty hopeful too. I know a lot of people have kind of expressed Epstein fatigue, a little bit we're never going to get anything. And I think in a certain sense, yeah, we're probably never going to get anything from the bureaucratic machine. But I think this does put the screws on them, and this causes much like the drop site reporting that we've talked about on this show. And well, actually, probably there's one that shores up connections with Rothschild, and even more shores up the Israeli relationship that drop site just covered in the past 48 hours or so. That I was going to cover today, but we have way too much, so I'll probably cover that tomorrow. So it's that sort of reporting that I do think we're going to see some crazy shit happen. Now, are we going to see any actual legal justice occur? I don't know. I doubt. And maybe one or two. I wouldn't be surprised, but I do think this is going to get to pretty crazy pretty crazy levels, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we see billionaires that just kind of off into some other African whatever the fuck, one of their weird little microstates they've tried to create or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some weirdness along this. By the way, I do see some of the chat, Butchie, Clay Higgins, the one dude who voted against the bill. It is pretty funny. I know everyone's saying to check his hard drive. To be fair, like, yes, probably, but like, if I recall correctly, I think he was like the one guy who, like, a week or so prior to all this stuff, that like the big political shakeups, he was the one that like did a whole post about like, here's why I'm gonna vote no, because this is a distraction and yada 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 yada, and a whole big made a whole big grandstanding point about essentially like really displaying to what degree he just really likes to see how far Trump's dick can go down the back of his throat. Like, just really doing like a political display of like fealty to Trump, and then Trump does this complete 180, and then now he's like did this grand gesture. And so I think that's why he stuck with it, because I think I saw some posts of him being like, here's why I stuck by my word. So he tried to play it off like a, because I'm a man of integrity, and this is what I said before. You're like, okay, whatever. I mean, like, you are, I guess once you do commit to that, it is kind of funny. What do you do? You're screwed either way. But yeah, you probably should check his hard drive, but it is also kind of a funny situation that he ended up in. All right, let's move on. I think I've mentioned a couple times that now we have 30 days. I figured I'd show you this. Here's Massey with his announcement saying Trump signed it the other day, and it says now he has 30 days, and he's just showing. And here it says, says this is the release of documents relating to Jeffrey Epstein. It says not later than 30 days after the date or enactment of this act the Attorney General shall, subject to subsection B, make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the DOJ, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation and United States Attorney's offices that relate to, and then obviously given a breakdown. But so that's the 30 days. So I guess we're somewhere in the realm of around Christmas. I guess we're gonna have a pretty interesting Christmas time. It looks like. I mean, obviously, as I said before, I doubt that these files anything go crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised as we start catching them. I mean, they're not really that savvy at the cover-up. Do you guys remember some of the crazy shit like early on when people started realizing like, oh, there's a cover-up occurring with some of the cash and Bongino nonsense and missing time, and you're like, so my point being is we might get more shit like that. You're like, it doesn't take a Sherlock level internet sleuth to be able to pull off some sort of like damning, like, look at them pulling this shit. I wouldn't be surprised if we get more of like a crazy catching them with their pants down type dumb shit, because they're kind of fucking dumb. And but more to kind of the specifics of this political shenanigans they've tried to pull. Here's what they were trying to pull. Now, I'm not sure if any of this actually ended up working in or not, but this is what they had, a sign that they guess they had out during the vote, just kind of as a reminder of like the dangers. Although despite the fact that even though Mike Johnson ended up biting the bullet and going for this thing, the big complaint was that, there needs to be changes. So here's a sign that they put out in front as says dangers of the discharge petition, if not amended, because that was the big thing as they were pushing for an amendment. 1, victim privacy does not adequately protect victims. 2, innocent persons, and this one's highlighted, risks disclosure of non-credible allegations creating new victims. 3, CSAM fails to adequately protect against release of CSAM. 4, future investigations provides no protections for whistleblowers or undercover law enforcement, etc. 5, declassification requires release of information that could reveal confidential methods and sources. Now, I will say none of this really inspires a whole lot of confidence, but like we have people like Massey spitting fire out there. So I figured we have a couple clips. I figured we'd play, and really I could have played a lot more. I was debating doing a bunch more clips, but I figured we'd watch a couple. There were some good MTG ones out there, but they're really kind of in a political field day as well. They should with this. Good for them. Getting some damn good sound bites that are going to pay off for them in the long run. So here's one from Massey. Calling out all the politicians who would in any way, shape, or form try to push against this.
That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men in handcuffs being perp walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up. Okay.
So pretty good words coming from Massey saying, hey, this is still covered up until we get people in jail. Because, obviously the next thing is they're going to release some sanitized information and go, as Trump's already, we've released 50,000 documents, yada, yada, yada. Well, not good enough. We need some people behind jail. Here's more from Massey, him shitting on Johnson and some of his political chicanery he's been trying to work around the fringes. Let's watch this.
On this bill, he says that it was poorly drafted, does not protect the victims as well. What do you say to him?
Well, he's trying to say that rich and powerful men who were on the plane to Epstein Island are now victims. That they would be victims because their names would get disclosed. Like, look at his PowerPoint presentation today. He's creating a new category of victims. So I think that's how a Christian man can stand up there and say a lie like that, is he's got something in the back of his head that makes it okay. But if he had real concerns, he could have introduced legislation. Look
on this bill.
So him calling out Mike Johnson as well. He should. Kind of a look at him coming to the aid of these rich billionaires because they really need it. Well, let's hear from the horse's mouth. Let's listen to him squirm this fruitcake. It is quiet, by the way, before I hear everyone say no audio.
They're not. Let me give you an example. And we could be up here for a long time. I litigated with you because I brought all this stuff. All right. Okay. So the first one you mentioned. Okay. So here's the HRS 581. This is the discharge. Okay. It says on page 5, redact anything that depicts or quote depicts or contains child sexual abuse material, CSAM, as defined under 18 USC 2256. Okay. All right. So you go to 18 USC 2256. Definitions of the chapter. Nowhere in this section, okay, go look it up, all right, does it contain the definition of child sexual abuse material. So I used to litigate federal cases, and I would challenge statutes in court, okay? The language is very important and very precise. If it's not listed here and this were to become law, child sexual abuse materials are not included. They're not included for redaction, which means the Attorney General and someone there, if they interpret the discharge in the statute that it passes directly, and literally, as they're supposed to do, they're required to do under the law, then you're going to have things that would qualify under child sexual abuse materials. You have child pornography included in the distribution of this stuff. We can't go for that. And why did they? No, it's not up to the Attorney General because the way it's listed in the document. No, it's not. It's not because it doesn't reference the right code section. So we can go through every one of these things. We have had a small army of lawyers going through it, because I want to make sure that all of my concerns, because I read it the first time initially and I thought, whoa, this is way out of bounds. We have in fact, we'll put on the speaker.gov, I'll put it on the website here when we leave. You'll see the summary of the legal analysis, and it goes through point by point and it points to the specific sections in the discharge. Guys, we're not making this up, and you can take it to your counsel at your outlet's offices and have them review it, and they'll tell you the same thing. This should have been done in a much more careful manner, and it was not. And I'm going to point out again, when the authors were asked... All
right, so the Hem and Haw, essentially, he's trying to make it sound like, my understanding here is he's trying to make it sound like that essentially the bill doesn't define CSAM quite well enough, so the concern being is they could accidentally release CP, as if that's, I don't know, a genuine concern that they're accidentally going to release CP into the world. If anything, I'd be more concerned that they define everything as CP or somehow vaguely find some way to interpret everything as anything. But a little weak. Now, but luckily it doesn't look like that ended up working out, because obviously we know the bill got passed, And last I heard, it got pushed through without making any changes, and so it was going to go sit at Trump's desk, and looks like he ended up signing. I didn't hear anything about any sort of amendments. You guys feel free to correct me in the chat. So it looks like it's going through as is, so he didn't get his way there. But let's see what he had to say about it kind of going through in that manner.
Any reaction to Leader Thune seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I am. I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing there with the Crown Prince. We couldn't talk together.
Are you frustrated in the majority leader? Are you upset with the majority leader?
All right. Well, obviously, that was obviously last night, trying to make it out like, he may not sign it, or actually not last night, but the night before that, making it out like he might not sign it. Obviously, he ended up doing so, which everyone was a little bit concerned they could veto it. It seemed like that would have been far too ridiculous of an action. But kind of, even with all this and them not getting amendments through, we did kind of at the jump talk about how there's already enough vague language in there to allow them to sanitize this to quite a great degree. Well, during all of this, they've kind of, it seems like, honed in quite a bit on this left-right binary nonsense, making this a Democrat witch hunt, which, don't get me wrong, they got a lot of witches in there, but the witches are on both sides. And I guess they've been setting up depositions and other such things. We'll get into a couple of those here in a minute. But it is worth noting at the start that apparently Bill and Hillary Clinton refused to show up for theirs. I guess they have a deposition regarding Epstein, this is according to Representative Luna. So just thought it was kind of interesting. Hey, that's as this person pointed out, this is what Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro went to prison for, is refusing to show up before Congress. And Bill and Hillary Clinton are doing exactly that. Well, they are doing kind of political theater on the floor. They've honed in on the what's her face, on the Plaskett thing. So let's check in on that. Here's Jamie Raskin providing unbelievable cope. But let's watch this.
Well, they want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing. Now, if you want to actually give her the chance to explain what happened, then we would take it to the ethics committee. I still don't see what the charge is. Where is the ethical transgression? Where is the legal transgression? Are you saying anybody on your side of the aisle who had a phone call with Jeffrey Epstein should be censured? Be careful your answer there, because there's a lot more that's about to come out, right? So you should think about what is the principle behind this.
A lot more is going to come out, yes. All right, let's keep going.
Rush to judgment. I want to close just with this thought, because I know there were a lot of people in the chamber who were here when this happened. And
all right, a lot more is going to come out. Bear in mind, for those who aren't aware what we're talking about here, Stacey Plaskett, the Democrat from the Virgin Islands, Congress lady, she was provably in messaging back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein in the middle of a congressional hearing, and was fielding hints and questions and stuff from him. And you can literally watch it in real time. You can go find this online, pretty easy to find. Real time back and forth between Epstein, providing information on the fly. She's getting, for example, she was being given information about who Trump's assistants were, some person named Rona, which enabled her to ask the right question at the right time during it. But just kind of just nuts to see the fingerprints. But then here we have Jamie Raskin portraying this as just fielding a call from her constituent, and I'm sure we're going to get a whole lot more of this. Well, that's kind of the concern. But let's hear what Plaskett has to say about herself. I guess she's addressed this a little bit, not a long clip, but let's watch it.
And I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me. Now, I heard recently, and I got...
So this was 11 years after he was arrested for sex crimes, by the way. So it was not public knowledge at the time that he was under federal investigation. So, okay, I guess she foregoed a Google search. We'll have to forgive that one. All right, here's Representative Luna. Let's see what she had to say about the matter. Let's check in.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Florida seek recognition?
I have a parliamentary inquiry.
The gentlelady from Florida will state her inquiry.
I was wondering if the Speaker of the House of Representatives can explain why leadership on both sides, both Democrat and Republican, are cutting back-end deals to cover up public corruption in the House of Representatives from both Republican and Democrat members of Congress.
Get it, girl.
The gentlelady has not stated a proper parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you very much, but I think the American people know what happened tonight.
Okay, well, that was some sass from Representative Luna. This was after they failed to censor Stacey Plaskett, which she's saying, I was wondering if the Speaker of the House of Representatives can explain why leadership on both sides are cutting back-end deals to cover up public corruption in the House of Representatives from both Republican and Democrat members of Congress. Perhaps it is occurring. I am not aware, but I don't know. It seems like an attempt to make this, I don't know, from Representative Luna, it feels a little bit more like theater than an actual attempt at any sort of justice. But moving on, more theater. Although who knows? There's almost certainly there's fire to this smoke. Here's Donald Trump Jr. commenting on this video. We'll read his comment in a second after we watch it. But they're going after Hakeem Jeffries now on the floor. So let's watch this.
Another email shows Democrat fundraiser colleagues' coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet private with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority.
Real quick, actually, let's pause and read this email because they're showing on screen the email. Let's see. I'm just going to zoom in. It says, Dear Jeffrey, we are thrilled to announce that we are working with, who is this from? This is to Epstein from Lisa Rossi. And so it's, so it's to Jeffrey Epstein from Lisa Rossi. Okay, so we are thrilled to announce that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars in the New York congressional delegation, sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack. Okay. He is a staunch supporter of President Obama and a progressive voice for the people in New York City. NY1 did a profile piece about his work on the vitally important budget and judiciary committees in Washington. You can watch the video here or read the text below. Hakeem is committed to electing a Democratic majority in 2014 and is encouraging his friends to participate in the DCCC/DSCC fundraising dinner with President Obama this coming Monday night. Shoot us an email or give us a call at 212-531-2858 if you'd like to get involved with the dinner or would like to get an opportunity to get to know Hakeem better. He's an impressive guy who will be a progressive voice in New York politics for years to come. So, okay, sounds like Lisa Rossi. I'm assuming this is his one of his campaign people or something. So this is an email of her reaching out to Jeffrey Epstein to essentially for money or funds because, hey, I got a exciting new politician you might be interested in. So let's keep going.
So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we reserve.
All right, and let's see. What did Donald J. Trump have to say about this? He said, so convicted sex offender trafficked kids gets invited to a private dinner with Obama and a meeting with Jeffries 5 years after being released, but it's somehow still all about Trump. The Epstein saga is a hoax, R.E. Trump, but not the Democrats who he funded enabled him. To that, I'm sorry, Donald Trump Jr. I'm sorry your father did this. I'm sorry your father sold your sister at 14 years old to who almost certainly was a child pornographer, Casanovas, who was involved in teen modeling and was linked up with John Luke Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein, and many other people. It doesn't look so good. Making this a left-right thing's a little bit silly, considering how close your daddy and him were. But whatever. But let's check in. That doesn't mean Jeffries isn't guilty as sin as well. Let's hear him responding to a reporter on the question.
House Oversight Chairman Comer said yesterday on the floor that you had Jeffrey Epstein over for dinner and took money from him back in 2013. This was after he was on the sex offender list. Any comment on that? And will you be holding members accountable regardless of party affiliation if there were any misdeeds related to the Epstein files?
Was that a serious question or a serious statement from malignant clown James Comer that I had Jeffrey Epstein over for dinner? That I accepted money?
That's not an answer.
From Jeffrey Epstein? What's extraordinary to me about the clown show on the other side of the aisle is that they lie with impunity on things that are objectively verifiable. And why do they do that? It's because for months, Republicans have been burying the Jeffrey Epstein files, not Democrats. Our view continues to be the same. We want to make sure that what the survivors have asked for, which is full and complete transparency in order to bring about accountability, actually happens. And Congress decisively and in a bipartisan way acted yesterday with respect to the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. That's a victory for the survivors and a victory for the American people. And Donald Trump needs to sign that bill into law expeditiously.
Yeah, it was actually handled pretty well, politically speaking. I mean, this was shared as if it was Jeffrey loses it, calls Comer a malignant clown. I don't know. It was a pretty calm response. Obviously, I wouldn't be. I don't know enough about Hakeem, although I wouldn't be surprised. Once again, he probably could very well be clicked in with Epstein and the like. I mean, he is very much fits the mold of one who would be. But obviously, this seems a little bit weak, especially who it's coming from. And here's one of the many reasons why it does. Let's check this out. This is supposedly from Prince Andrew's biographer, making some pretty crazy claims. I've heard these claims before, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of a backing up of the claim here. Let's see it.
So here we are with him in Mar-a-Lago, as you see with Epstein. Sorry, can you see okay? Epstein, a woman called Gwendolyn Beck, who Andrew took to the island, and Melania. I had various references in my book to.
So for the audio people, right now he is showing a photo of Melania, who looks like she's hanging on Prince Andrew's arm. I don't know, maybe she's not. Maybe she's just standing close to him. But, kind of that like casually close, almost looks like she's his arm candy. But I don't know, it could just be where they're standing. And then a picture of Epstein with a kind of a thin, kind of, pretty, kind of almost like a, I don't know, not early, like mid-90s kind of generic, pretty look woman with Epstein. So whoever, the lady he just mentioned, I don't remember. I don't really know who she is, but let's keep going.
Melania Trump. Epstein had actually been her lover before Trump, but Trump didn't like that in the book, so he ordered it to be.
Let's get that again.
I had various references in my book to Melania Trump and Melania. I had various references in my book to Melania Trump. Epstein had actually been her lover before Trump, but Trump didn't like that in the book, so he ordered it to be withdrawn.
That's actually pretty wild. That is interesting. I remember I was following this guy. I was digging into some of the Prince Andrew stuff a while ago, and he actually had made all sorts of claims that there were a lot of things, because a lot of people have been giving him shit about this claim or that claim in some of his book. And apparently this guy's, from my understanding, kind of actually like a notable historian. He's actually known for kind of being the stuffy, respectable type. And so he actually was like, I had to throw a shitload of stuff. And it was kind of like so for everyone giving me gripe or giving me crap about this or that, like these have gone through all the legal channels through a ridiculous degree. A lot has already been taken out because of, litigious people. And it seems like this is, he's implying this is one of many things, which, I mean, given the way the Trump administration has behaved, I mean, we've had the Melania threatening to sue people and other stuff. It's makes you a little bit, I don't know, gives a little credence to this. I mean, obviously, he wasn't. Now, at the same time, though, bear in mind this means he wasn't willing to put it in print, because if this was a dead to rights thing, you would think that he'd go, fuck you, take me to court. But if it was probably something that was along the lines of maybe a little bit weaker, is a juice worth the squeeze, especially when you're someone writing a book, not even about Trump, it's about Prince Andrew. He's far more of a UK-focused individual, but interesting nonetheless. Let's keep going.
To be taken out of the book after about 60,000 copies had been printed. So it seemed to be a pretty pointless gesture, but anyway, our publishers did it, but I keep spreading the word. So here we are.
All right, moving on. And then another reason for concern with these files. Here's Massey laying it out pretty plainly. Of course, the last one, the audio goes out. Give me a second. Let me bring it back up. All right, here you go.
It's that simple.
Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too.
And I agree. I think Massey is completely right. This is going to backfire on them. Obviously, they're not going to work with us in any way throughout this. All right, let's roll for the chat, and we'll get into the next topic, our Furry Assassins. And then, let's check in. Good morning, Justin Valentine. Lots of methods and sources in this mess, I'm sure. Good morning, Shayuon. Good to see you in here. Good morning, Ray. He says, just like alien disclosure, it will never happen, because when we find out where the 300,000 missing kids go every year, because then we find out where the 300,000 missing kids go every year. Yup. We'll just hoof it to Israel, says Knife. Exactly. Yup. Mulgara says he was talking to Massey 2 days ago about the file, and he joked he was fearing for his mortality while pursuing this whole thing. I bet he was, for sure. Let's see. Good morning, Real John Doe. Good to have you in here. Kodak says we are not getting anything useful from these files. I agree. We'll probably not. We'll probably get very little useful. We'll probably get more information from what we don't get than what we do get. I mean, kind of like as I was saying with say for example the deleted time or whatever from the the video back in the early days before everyone realized they were being hoodwinked by the Trump administration here. Good morning, Fire Pixie. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Black Eye. Good morning. Good to see you in here. Justin Valentine says the leadership of both parties are trying to play us for fools, pretending to fight while protecting each other like pro wrestling. Exactly. Good morning, Bobo. Good morning. Good morning. Let me see. Be sure to hit that like button, people. Help a brother out. Mulgara says, I saw this Raskin debate in person. Yeah. Justin Valentine says, why would Merrick Garland not have dropped the stuff on Trump before the election, especially given the Dems' charisma or popularity problems? That is interesting point. The only thing I could think of is maybe it's just that the Democrat, the current Democrat field has far more young blood than it did 4 years ago. So maybe it's just a different political dynamic. That's the only thing I can really think of. But obviously, I think it's really just that everyone points out, why wouldn't they do that in the previous administration? Because they probably have issues there too. I mean, hell, we just covered the other day. Obviously, the Obama administration isn't the Biden administration, but there's a strong tie between the two. I mean, one kind of grifted off the other, kind of made its name from the other. It was kind of the whole. Biden would not have been elected if it wasn't for his association with Obama. And point being is, we were just talking about yesterday, that one of Obama's top lawyers was the backup executor on fucking Epstein's will. I think it shows a pretty incestuous relationship occurring there. Looks like that very well may have, at the same time that she was Obama's head lawyer, may have very well been one of Epstein's head lawyers as well. And so, given the proximity, makes you a little bit wonder, and I'm sure they probably have a lot of crossover even between their cabinets too, if I had to guess. So yeah, point being is Biden probably was his hands had to have been dirty. I struggle to believe they weren't. So, but yeah, I know, and I don't know. Maybe like I said, it's the younger Democrats, and they're thinking they're not really going to get screwed over. So I don't know. Wasn't Hakeem Jeffries filmed dancing with Rabbi Butt Plug? Said Hakeem. Yes, there was that one video of him riding him in college. So, all right, almost caught up. Good morning, Chuck Pam. Good morning. Good morning. All right, let's get into the furries. Let's get into this. Recently, I guess a little bit of a catch up for people who aren't aware. I'm not going to hold your hand through all of this. I guess I would recommend, to have a fuller understanding of what we're talking about here, to go check out Tucker Carlson's video he did recently on Crooks's background. I'm not entirely sure how he got a hold of all of this, but somehow he got access to the metadata or something on, Crooks and, what he was doing online, something we haven't really been able to get a hold of for a while now. And so it's kind of like, what the fuck is up with this kid? Well, more stuff came up. My biggest takeaway from it is this dude glows like the sun. It's kind of almost, once you watch that video, you'll notice it's kind of an insane, over the top, I'm going to do violence, political violence. I'm commenting on things about political violence. Let's do political violence. Just the most absurd, overt, over the top, almost as if you were jokingly trying to do some sort of weird meta joke where you're I'm going to go on Twitter and behave as if I'm in some sort of federal provocateur, to a ridiculous degree, to where anyone who's not even really that much of a spooked out individual would be I think that might be a federal provocateur. That's how Crooks seemingly was behaving online. So I don't know, a little bit sketchy. But to add to that, apparently his PayPal alias was the same name as an ex-FBI agent who worked with Mueller. He was also a firearms instructor in Pennsylvania, and he went on to investigate the Las Vegas shooting. So a little weird, a little more to the what the fuck is going on here. Here's an excerpt from an article. It says, among the 17 accounts uncovered by our source, only one on PayPal was operated under an alias, Rod Swanson. Rod Swanson is a former senior FBI agent who was the chief of investigations for the state of Nevada, but during the 2017 Las Vegas mass shooting. He also previously served on FBI Director Robert Mueller's protective detail and is a firearms instructor in Pennsylvania. Rod Swanson also sounds like a joke name too, though. That's the thing. Is that from? I know obviously there's Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, but Rod, is that from Rod Swanson? That sounds like maybe Super Troopers. Wasn't one of the guys a Team Ramrod? One of them was Rod or Rodriguez or. Nah, maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. It just sounds like a made-up name. I'm trying to figure out how, a way that this could be even been a thing that happened. Anyways, contacted by phone over the weekend, Swanson said he was surprised his name was connected to Crooks. I don't know anything about that kid or his family. He said, I don't even use PayPal. I don't even know how to set up a PayPal account. Which, same here. He said he retired from the FBI in Vegas in 2016 and went to work for the Nevada Attorney General from 2015 to March 2020. He now works in the oil and gas business in Houston. So, and then they're also on the bottom there, you see furry fetish from this article, which we will get into. It says, when told of Crooks' online threats, he said there was no way the FBI would not be aware of the teenager. No matter how ridiculous the allegation, no matter if it's COVID or not, somebody is going to knock on somebody's door, Swanson said. If they investigate that kid, there is a record of it, and there's an assessment that some leader made that this was not a threat or it rose to a level and they did something else. He also said that the FBI had that information about his name on the PayPal account. I can't even imagine they would not have reached out to me right away. So odd to say the least. Let's check in on this article about them having the same name. Maybe there's an innocent reason. I don't know. It says on Friday, conservative journalist Tucker Carlson reported in a trove. By the way, this is from Ken Silva over at Headline USA, friend of the show. He said he reported on a trove of previously unpublicized internet activity by alleged would-be Trump assassin Thomas Crooks. Among numerous other revelations, Carlson revealed that Crooks used a PayPal account with the name Rod Swanson, the same name as a former FBI agent who went on to investigate the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. The New York Post was the first to notice that the Crooks PayPal account may have been named after the former FBI agent Swanson, who was the chief of investigations for the state of Nevada, but during the 2017 Las Vegas incident, the deadliest mass shooting in history. Like with Crooks and his alleged July 13, 2024 assassination attempt, the FBI never revealed the motive for Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock. So columnist Miranda Devine also reported Monday that Swanson served on a former FBI Director Robert Mueller's security detail and as a firearms instructor in Pennsylvania. Devine contacted Swanson, who said he was surprised at Crooks using his name and that Crooks' activity must have put him on law enforcement's radar. So additionally, the Post reported Monday that Crooks used they-them pronouns on the account DeviantArt, which is known for hosting sexually charged furry content. Crooks, who didn't appear trans in the most recent photos of him, may have been trolling by using the they-them pronouns. Screenshots of his DeviantArt account released by independent journalist Brianna Morello are far from furry porn, depicting graphically violent scenes instead. Which let's look at that. So here is the Intel report, more on Thomas Crooks' alleged social media. Dang it, you gotta be a subscriber. Dang it, I thought maybe it'd let me see it. But all right, here's another other one I have. So here is what they're referring to. These are the sort of images that were actually seen on to be on his account here. It says, so he's saying he's responding to somebody saying, too bad that 90% of the media covering this is going to obsess over his furry porn. And he says, totally. All we know is that Crooks had an account on DeviantArt. That they-them might have been a troll, and these are screenshots from the site released by Brianna Morello. Does this look like furry porn to you? Now you guys can see this image. This is a sort of, it's kind of weird. It reminds me of like early meme art, especially especially like the libertarian theory or the different theory ones where like you'd have like a yellow and white one, which is like, oh, that's supposed to be ANCAP. You have a gray and white one, that's agorism. They're all like different, like it's that sort of meme, very basic meme art is what they have here. And I feel like I've seen this sort of shit, you know, that has been in like sort of furry communities, but I've also seen this sort of art pop up in like 764 communities too. So I think it might just be kind of a widespread kind of used for lots of different groups, I guess you could say. So I don't know. I think the furry thing might be a little bit on the weak side and everyone's kind of running with it. So just throwing that out there before everyone gets too far ahead of their shit about the furry stuff. But moving fast past this furry stuff, I'm sure there'll be more researchers who find more interesting stuff about this going forward. I thought that was the interesting stuff to dig into. This dude glows like the sun, and everybody's jumping on the tired trope of the furry stuff, looking like it may not be quite there. And then going to this other furry, he also may not be quite there. Let's listen to CBS 2 News. Let's let them elaborate on this, on how... is he a furry? Is his boyfriend a furry? Does he even fucking exist? Let's see. Where is this guy? Where is any record at all of him existing at all? Let's watch this.
Attorney, qualifications only select number of defense attorneys in Utah have in order to defend cases with a capital offense, some involving a possible death penalty. He's not affiliated with the case involving Tyler Robinson, who's accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk back in September. I showed him what I found that could indicate there's potential missing evidence in the case.
He said, hey, I know who Charlie Kirk's shooter is.
On September 17th, 2025, Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby held a press conference.
Our job was not to interview, our job was just to get him here.
After Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter was taken into custody in Washington County less than 2 days after the shooting.
Within the hour, my friend drove Tyler and his parents to my office, where he was greeted by plainclothes detectives.
After learning of this, I submitted a public records request to obtain any video of Tyler Robinson walking into the jail facility. Washington County responded saying there were no records responsive to the request, as Robinson did not go to the jail area. Our request for any holding room video was denied. A few weeks later, I re-upped the request on a more generalized scale for surveillance video showing Tyler Robinson walking into the sheriff's office.
For the state of Utah, we would certainly hope that this video is available.
The response? Our office does not have any applicable records responsive to this request, as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period.
If in fact it has been destroyed and not preserved, it's very concerning. And if it has, then it's very concerning that they're telling you they don't have it. If they no longer have it, I would have expected to say that this video has been provided to the Utah County law enforcement. Please contact them. But instead, this letter leads, in my opinion, as trying to shut the door and not give you free access to the press.
While it's not clear if the video exists and was just handed over to another agency, in a response to me, Washington County shared with me they don't believe the video was shared with anyone involved in the case.
Wanting to get videos showing that he turned himself in and the manner he did so would be crucial for the defense work of mitigation.
26 years as a criminal defense attorney in Utah, Bautista is currently working another capital case in Utah County with the state intending to seek the death penalty.
Again, Mr. Kirk, by all counts, was a great young man who was helping educate people, and we encourage that. And this is very tragic that he's lost his life, but it is not a death penalty case.
When you look at this case on the surface and what you've seen play out, what stands out to you?
What stands out to me is this is not an aggravated murder case. In order for it to be an aggravated murder case, that something is that can qualify for the death penalty, there has to be an aggravating factor.
Bautista says the alleged weapon in the shooting alone doesn't meet the standard for prosecutors to seek the death penalty.
The risk of hitting someone else really isn't there. And so that's why I believe that aggravating factor is really weak. Now, why it was charged that way is clearly political.
I hope he gets the death penalty.
And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
Instead of looking at it objectively, a prosecutor is to look at the evidence objectively and then charge the person with the most applicable crime. Here, where they're saying it will be this crime, we are now taking evidence. So they're trying to make the facts fit a cause of action that is not applicable.
Bautista believes the death penalty conversation in this case was pushed too soon.
Certainly suggests abuse in our higher government.
Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty against Tyler Robinson, who's accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. Gray.
All right, let's recap that real quick. All right, here is Jane Doe. This is the account I got this from. I recommend following. Been doing some good research during all this. Says 2 News filed a public records request with the Washington County Sheriff's Office for video showing Robinson entering the Washington County Jail / holding area and video of Robinson in a holding room. Says we do not have any records responsive to this portion of the request, as Tyler Robinson did not go or enter the jail area, wrote a records officer with the sheriff's office. Holding room video was denied as part of the investigation. A few weeks later, 2 News re-upped the request in a more generalized fashion, inquiring for surveillance video showing Tyler Robinson walking into Washington County Sheriff's Office. It says our office does not have the applicable records responsive to this request, as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period. So now it's, there's a 30-day period, which is a little bit concerning of why would they delete this as they respond in the video. When asked if the video was shared with any law enforcement or legal agency, the department responded, "It is my understanding that it was never sent out to any agency," which you would think it should be, but now they've supposedly destroyed this, although you would think this would be stuff that would, make sense to have attached to an investigation. These are sort of things you'd want to hold on to. You would think, hey, if you have surveillance video of him entering the police station in order to give a confession or whatever, you would think you'd want to save that. The idea that, it's been 30 days and we're going to delete it, well, that doesn't seem to make much sense when we're talking a super prolific assassination case. Doesn't seem to pass the smell test to me. If anything, it makes me wonder if this dude even fucking exists. All right, let's roll through chat, and then we'll get into our final segment of the day. Be sure to hit that like button, help a brother out. Good morning, Mikey Chin. He says, hi, Jose. Hope the family's doing well. They are doing good. Hope yours is as well. Good morning, Jake Mars. Says, car, ramrod, yeah. Super Troopers is so underrated, says Black Eye. Fucking, yes, great movie. Team Ramrod for the win. Good morning, Tony Chin, saying PayPal Mafia. No Hoblos is dropping graphically violent materials in chat rooms where degens are trying to goon to cartoon bestiality is low-key base. That is an interesting, like this weird app that is like, it's all like weird gooner shit or like overt violence. So I guess there's a little bit of a humor to it there, I guess. Although the violence although they tend to mix the things in together. So Mulgaris says furries should be physically removed. I tend to agree. Justin Valentine says Buffalo supermarket shooter had been in contact with a quote-unquote retired FBI agent as well. Tom33 says there's a lot of overlap in weird niche internet communities because the one thing they have in common is being entirely too online. Exactly, which makes these online communities, it makes sense they would have similar platforms they use for online stuff. So it totally makes sense, especially if they're both doing some sort of art like that. Mulgaris says, my brother went to a pride parade this year and he found a furry stall and they were selling glass pieces of shit. I'm not even kidding, glass replicas of shit? What does it even mean? I kind of want to see that now. Knives 80 Plus says, I was in Obama's Martha's Vineyard mansion and I saw a Yakubian growth tube labeled TMC and another labeled Tyler Robinson. Coincidence? I think not. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this guy even exists? Let me see. Good morning, Bug Fights. Justin says they could use a crook's quote-unquote attempt to easily undermine the death penalty argument. To be fair, I want to be very clear. I don't know if maybe I mixed you up there. The second guy there, I was talking about Robinson at the end there. So the first guy we started talking about was Crooks, and then Robinson was the one that they requested video of him coming in and to the station, and they're it's gone. So, all right, let's get into the last topic of the day. It might be a little bit of an early episode. I could have squeezed some more in here. I thought this was particularly interesting, and we're going to kind of look into some of the weird people surrounding Trump. Here's Trump talking about one of these said people that surround him, a commonly named kind of a weird, sketchy character. She kind of seems like the one broad from the later movies of Harry Potter, the one like kind of, I don't know, grandmotherly, but like in a bitchy type of way person. That's what this lady's like, Susie Wiles. Trump said some weird shit about her just recently, so let's check in on that.
Susie Wiles, she had a father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer, football. He was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. Most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power. I don't know if I could do that, but she could. Thank you, Susie. Do you feel good about the job you're doing? Huh? She's never going to be satisfied.
Now, who is Susie Wiles? Well, one of these people kind of sits around in the backdrop and kind of has all this power, and a lot of people don't focus on her as much. And Trump might not be completely full of shit here. Ask Rock, who is Susie Wiles? And I think it's interesting what they left out, which we'll get into that in a second. It says Susie Wiles, born Susan L. Summerall on May 14th, 1957, is an American political consultant, lobbyist, and government official. She currently serves as a White House Chief of Staff in the second administration of President Donald Trump, a role she assumed in 2025. So she is the Chief of Staff of Trump. She began her career in politics working for New York Congressman Jack Kemp and later contributed to Ronald Reagan's 1980 presidential campaign. A veteran of Florida politics, she rose to prominence in Republican circles through roles like directing Trump's 2016 Florida campaign and serving as a senior advisor for his 2024 bid. She has also been affiliated with organizations such as the Save American Leadership PAC. Known for a disciplined approach, sometimes nicknamed the Ice Maiden by critics, she's emphasized maintaining order in the White House by blocking potential troublemakers. Wiles is a graduate of the University of Maryland and describes herself as a GOP supporter, Jaguars and Giants fan, and mother to two daughters. Well, as I said, it's always a little bit, sometimes you're going to wonder about the things they leave out, and I don't know. Sometimes, to be fair, Grok sometimes just literally will imagine things or forget things, and I think it's telling what perhaps what it left out. I don't know. I don't want to read too much as if there's a ghost in the machine here, but perhaps considering the I know Elon Musk's proclivity or affinity, I guess you could say, for that 6-pointed star. But I asked it, didn't she work for Netanyahu? Because I remember that being a thing. Yes, Susie Wiles briefly worked on Benjamin Netanyahu's 2020 campaign in Israel, where she advised on strategy and voter data before departing over funding issues. This involvement highlights the ties between Trump's aides and Netanyahu as Trump's dispatched advisors to assist the Israeli leader during that election. So we have literally during the 2020 election, she was helping out Benjamin Netanyahu's campaign, and now she's the chief of staff in 2025 to Donald Trump. Nothing at all weird to see here. And more on nothing weird to see here. Donald Trump pardoned former Tottenham Hotspur owner Joe Louis. Let's listen to Whitney Webb and see what she has to say about this. She said Trump just pardoned the Soros pal who, in quotes, broke the Bank of England with Soros, and current Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent for a financial crime he pled guilty to. Said Lewis is part of what the New York Times once called a currency trading and manipulating cabal that also included Jimmy Goldsmith, arguably Epstein's first major contact in the world of elite finance back in the early 1970s. Epstein was arguably part of this cabal after the New York Times wrote them in the mid-1990s, given the multiple attestations to his abilities in current stabilization and the reverse in currency trading in general. I wrote about Lewis years ago, 2019, because he has created his own de facto state in Albolson, Argentina, where he has brought out the local government and has his staff regularly threaten to kill and has nearly succeeded locals if they try and access the public lake his mansion borders. However, according to sources I spoke with, when I traveled there to report it for Mint Press, he allows IDF soldiers on vacation in South America to access the lake and his property they brag about in local hostels. He also owns an airstrip that the Argentine government oddly has no oversight of what comes in and out of, and locals who suggested planes were using it to make suspect trips to the Falkland Islands ended up having their living room shut up. In addition, he's a close business associate of Marcelo Mindlin, who, along with Eduardo Epstein, are the men Soros handpicked to run his Argentine interests until they parted ways a few years ago. Mindlin and Lewis jointly control most of Argentina's power grid, and Epstein is one of the biggest forces in real estate and banking, as well as the host of the Lau Lau Forum, where Argentine business elites meet behind closed doors, like a South American WEF. Epstein and Mindlin are interesting big Javier Milei backers. Maybe something to think about given what a longtime Soros associate now running the Treasury Department wants to use billions in taxpayer funds to keep him afloat. It's not America first. It's criminal banker syndicate first. He very much puts off the same vibes of Tom Barak, which we've talked about on the show numerous times. He's the Lebanese diplomat. I believe he's the ambassador to some other places over the Middle East as well. He was known as being one of the three musketeers between Epstein, Trump, and him, the bestest of buddies. In the recent email drops, one of the biggest pie on his face was a back and forth between him and Epstein. I believe it was Epstein asking him, or it might have been the other way around, of photos of him and the kid. It makes him smile. So creepy fellers. One of these days, that's one we're going to have to dig into more. But these people sketch me out. And then more to that, did you know that Karen Leavitt's husband is 32 years older than her? Okay, maybe it means nothing, but I find it a little bit interesting. Let's hear what she has to say about how much in love she is with her senior citizen husband. Let's watch this.
And in the meantime, you've got married, had a baby.
Yeah.
Tell us about your husband.
Sure.
And how you met, and also the fact he's, I think, 32 years older than you, which is unusual. But
it is.
But you're a very mature person, so probably could you not find boys your own age who are as mature?
Honestly, no, if you want to know the truth. But no, he is amazing. And we met during my congressional campaign. A friend of mine who owns a restaurant is also a mutual friend of my husband's. And he invited my husband to my event at his restaurant, and we met, and we were acquainted as friends for quite some time. But then, of course, we fell in love. And here we are today. We're married with a beautiful baby. And he is just an amazing guy. He's very introverted, unlike me.
Oh, really?
Yes, he stays behind the scenes. He's not on social media. He's very private.
He's a self-made
which I
man.
respect, and he's a self-made
Yeah.
man. Yeah, he
Yeah,
has
like you, really.
successful real estate business back home, and
Right.
he's built his career, and so he's in a place where he can support me in mine. And so he's an incredibly hands-on father. He and my son are just the best of friends, and
Let's do some math on that real quick. By the way, she's 28. I just did the math. 28. So he's 60 years old. So she's 28, married to a 60-year-old. Okay, whatever. Weirder things have happened, but I don't know. It calls for me to dig a little bit into this. I figured, whatever. Who is her husband? I looked it up. This is she's married to Nicholas Riccio, a real estate magnate born in 1965. They met in 2022, married in January 2025. Before Donald Trump's second inauguration. So yeah. No, I was kind of curious about him. I asked Grok a little bit more information. Once again, this is Grok. He's a New Hampshire-based real estate developer and husband of White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. Has several connections to Donald Trump. He has been a longtime supporter of Trump's Republican Party, forging ties as early as 2019, well before meeting his wife. Riccio reportedly donated over $5 million to Trump's campaign and allowed the use of his properties for campaign gatherings and events at no cost. In business, Riccio has cited Trump as an inspiration for his real estate success, following Trump's lead in the industry to build his portfolio of over 15 properties. On a personal level, Riccio and Leavitt married in January 2025, shortly before his second inauguration, and the family recently shared Halloween photos of themselves trick-or-treating. I guess he's actually active on Twitter. I'll check him out later just to look on him. What is his background? I was kind of curious what Catherine's background is, but at 28, I guess probably not much. But just for curiosity's sake, I already screamed this earlier. There's nothing that I saw that was crazy glowy, but worth just kind of, even if there's not much there, it's kind of crazy to me that a 28-year-old is currently the mouthpiece of Donald Trump. She was born in August 97 in New Hampshire in a working class family. They owned an ice cream shop, auto business, 2 older brothers. She helped on the family business, supposedly scooping ice cream. Obviously, you kind of get the ready-made hard work story. All talks about having older brothers. She played multiple sports, field hockey, softball. She attended Central Catholic High School in Lawrence, Mass., where she was a varsity softball player. What else did we have in here? She went to St. Alsam College in Manchester in a 2015 softball scholarship. Played softball for freshman, sophomore years. She initially was drawn to journalism. She founded the St. Alsam Broadcasting Club. She hosted political and sports shows, including coverage of the 2018 New Hampshire elections. She also wrote for the newspaper. And then as ambassador for the New Hampshire Institute of Politics of the college, she introduced political speakers and engaged elected officials. So she was I believe a poli-sci, I think I said in there. Did I say that already? Yeah, she majored in communications and politics, minored in political science per some accounts. So she was just kind of this political actor in journalism. So, okay, it kind of makes sense how she made some moves. Obviously, it seems like her husband helped out a lot. Her early experiences include a brief internship with NBC Sports Boston, worked for a local TV station WMUR, an internship for U.S. Senator, and a stint with Fox News during the 2016 New Hampshire primary week, where she met previous candidates and developed an interest in press work, graduated in 2019. So she kind of went through looks like a little bit of the TV media type training. Seems like he likes those. Another person who fits that is Hegseth, which, for those who aren't aware, this guy has a record of being a drunk, which I didn't realize that until later. Apparently, he regularly became so drunk that he passed out, threw up, and had to be carried out of family events in public settings, sometimes shouting sexually and racially offensive statements. Are you trying to get me to not like the guy? Because this sounds awesome. But here is an excerpt from an article. These are the incidents recounted to the FBI and cited in an affidavit. It says, Mr. Hegseth abused alcohol regularly, and his volatile behavior caused family members to feel for his safety. Mr. Hegseth's second spouse supposedly had an escape plan that involved texting a safe word to friends and family to urgently request assistance without putting herself in more danger with Mr. Hegseth. This escape plan was executed on at least one occasion. On at least one occasion, Mr. Hegseth's second spouse hid in her closet out of fear of him. There will either be fear or respect in this relationship, woman. While drunk in his military uniform, a violation of military laws, Mr. Hegseth was so inebriated that his brother had to carry him out of a Minneapolis strip club. This occurred during a drill weekend with the National Guard. Wow, what the fuck? What kind of drill weekends is this guy running? I guess I did reserves, so like, I can't imagine on a reserve weekend being like, I'm going to go get shit-faced at a strip club in uniform. That makes no fucking sense. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends. I guess a lot of people do fly out for their like guard weekends. So like you may have like come from somewhere else and it's more of like a, but I don't know. I guess maybe I've gotten too much of a sanitized experience where I was the Air Force side of things. It was more like a coming into work on the weekend is what. So bizarre that I'm like going to keep on fatigues after and go get fucking blackout drunk at a titty bar. In uniform. Mr. Hegseth regularly became so drunk that he passed out, threw up, and had to be carried out of family events in public settings, sometimes shouting sexually and racially offensive statements. Hey, the last part was a little cool. Mr. Hegseth said that women should not vote or work and that Christians need to have more children so they should overtake the Muslim population. Okay, nothing wrong there. Several accounts of abusive behavior and public drunkenness. So, I mean, I've seen a bunch of those, but I just kind of want to let you guys know that is a thing. That is our rampant lust for blood Secretary of War, super happy about it. Dude, he seems to be a bit of a, still young, dumb, and full of cum. Just never got out of that like 19-year-old mentality. Like if this was stuff from 19, I'd be like, okay, dude, you need to get your shit together. But like, whatever, you're 19. This is a dude running the Department of War. All right, last story. Kind of in these, or this one's obviously a little bit less connected to Trump, but he did give this guy a commutation, and it's hard not to see the hilarity here. So let's cover this one. Eliyahu Weinstein, he was a convicted Ponzi schemer whose 24-year-old sentence was commuted by President Trump in 2021, has now been sentenced to 37 years in prison for a new $41 million fraud scheme targeting the more than 150 investors. Who is this guy? I don't know. Why don't you look at the little thing he chose for hat wear? This is a man with a yarmulke, as you can guess by the name Steen. Let's check in on Graka. Who is this guy? Let's see. I'm kind of curious. I meant to have this set up. I thought there was an article already here. My bad, because this was a Timcast News one. So I figured there was going to be an article we'd read. Actually, I did find an IRS one. So let's check in on this. This Israeli man admits conspiring with convicted Ponzi schemer and others to defraud investors of tens of millions of dollars to launder money and to obstruct justice. The Israeli man today admitted conspiring with Eliyahu Eli Weinstein, whose 24-year federal prison sentence was commuted after being twice convicted of defrauding investors of a total of $230 million. And others to defraud investors of more than $35 million in a new fraud scheme and to conspiring to engage in money laundering and obstruct justice, U.S. Attorney Philip Selinger announced. Now, I'm reading this right now from irs.gov, so like they're not my homies either. So, but you know, enemy of my enemy. Although the IRS will never be my friend. Shlomo Erez of Israel pled guilty before U.S. District Judge Michael Shipp in Trenton to an information charging him with one count of conspiracy to commit securities fraud, one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering, and one count of conspiracy to obstruct justice. Shlomo Erez admitted to helping Eli Weinstein, a twice convicted fraudster whose sentence was commuted by then President of the United States. Makes me wonder why he got commuted. Hide his identity from investors, ripping them off to the tunes of millions of dollars and evading hundreds of millions of dollars in restitution to victims of Weinstein's prior fraud schemes. The scheme used phony identities and false promises of access to deals involving scarce medical supplies, baby formula, and first aid kits supposedly destined for wartime Ukraine to defraud victims. Holy shit, so those are Ukraine fraud? All right. Erez will now face justice for his crimes, and we will continue to prosecute the other alleged conspirators. Let's actually pop in back to Grok. I asked him who this Eliyahu Weinstein is. He's also known by the alias Mike Koenig. He's a 51-year-old man from Lakewood, New Jersey, convicted multiple times of investment fraud schemes. He was previously sentenced to 24 years in prison for Ponzi schemes, but has sentence commuted to President Trump in 2021. Let's ask Grok real quick. Is he a dual citizen? I'm curious. Is he a dual citizen? Let's see. Let's find out what Grok has to say. I have a sneaking feeling here. Let's continue. He was previously, shortly after his release, he engaged in new crimes, including falsely promising investors access to in-demand supplies and concealing his criminal history. He got sentenced to 37 years. Let me see if there's anything on his dual citizenship. What do you guys think? Let's take some bets here. Do you have a strong feeling? The articles aren't mentioning dual citizenship. All right, let's pop back over here. Although the other guy is Israeli, so... 4 of Erez's conspirators, Christopher Anderson, Richard Curry, Allah Hattab, and Joel Whittles, previously pled guilty conspiracy to commit securities fraud. Whittles also pled guilty conspiracy to obstruct justice and to conspiracy to engage in the unlicensed wholesale distribution of prescription drugs. All are awaiting sentencing, so we got a drug ring here as well. Charges are still pending against conspirators Weinstein and Aryeh Bromberg. I'm hearing a lot of Bergs and Steins. According to documents filed in this case and statements made in court, Weinstein was convicted 2 times in New Jersey federal court for defrauding investors. His first case involved a real estate Ponzi scheme, and his second case stemmed from additional fraud Weinstein committed while on pretrial release. For these crimes, which resulted in combined losses to investors of approximately $230 million. He was sentenced to 24 years, followed by 3 years of unsupervised release. Soon after he was released from prison, he began orchestrating a new scheme to solicit money from investors through a company called Optimus Investments using the fake name Mike Koenig. He ran Optimus with Bromble and Whittles. Weinstein, Bromble, and Whittles received the bulk of investor money through a second company, Trian Management Group, LLC, which is owned and controlled by Anderson and Curry. Trian promised these individual investors, consisting mostly of friends and family, lucrative opportunities to invest in deals involving COVID-19 masks, baby formula, and first aid kits for Ukraine. Posing as Koenig, he provided the info for these supposed deals. Based on that info, investors gave money to Tryon, believing the deals were legitimate and not knowing about Weinstein's involvement. In turn, Tryon transferred these funds to Weinstein through Optimus. Herrera served as a purported custodian of Optimus funds for Optimus's investors. After receiving investor money, Erez conducted numerous financial transactions at Weinstein's direction for purposes other than what investors were promised, including investing in a penthouse apartment in Miami, Florida, and purported land deal in Morocco. In February 2022, almost immediately after Tryon and Optimus started receiving investor money, Tryon was unable to pay its investors. Rather than reveal this information to investors, the conspirators agreed to pool money from existing investors, both Optimus and Tryon, and used it to make monthly payments to other investors in a Ponzi-like fashion. The conspirators contained this arrangement for investors by falsely telling investors that the payments derived from legitimate investment returns, not other investors' money. In late 2022, the conspirators had a series of meetings in which Weinstein revealed his true identity to Anderson and Curry. In these meetings, at least 2 of which included Erez, Weinstein also admitted to making various false statements about purported Optimus deals and to misappropriating Tryon's investor money. But during and after these meetings, the conspirators agreed to continue concealing Weinstein's identity from investors and raise additional money to pay off the investors, all in an attempt to stop the Ponzi scheme from falling apart and cover up the conspirators' fraud. In addition to defrauding investors, Erez also conspired with Weinstein and others to launder the proceeds of their crimes. Erez opened bank accounts to hold money for Weinstein that Erez knew was the proceeds of unlawful activity, including the fraud scheme, and transferred it for the benefit of Weinstein and his conspirators. Erez also created entities to invest ill-gotten funds in real estate companies for the benefit of Weinstein and associates. Erez also conspired with Weinstein, Bromberg, and others to obstruct justice, to help hide his assets that should have been used to pay over $200 million in restitution they still owes in previous victims. They also concealed Weinstein's myriad business activities, which he was required to disclose to the court, which were expressly prohibited by the terms of his unsupervised release. All right, yada, yada, yada. And then just kind of go into the people involved. All right, let's check in. Oh, wow. Surprisingly, there's nothing about him being a dual citizen, although there were others. All right. I thought that was interesting. Take a little bit of a dig into this one. It's a wild story. I have a feeling there's more there that we don't know of. There's got to be some weird connections. The idea that this guy got a commutation by Trump, and then at the same time he's doing like what seemingly is an even bigger scheme at the same time that he gets busted for, makes me think some more shit's going on. But all right, guys, let's roll through the chat, say our final goodbyes for today, and check in on you guys, and we'll get out of here. I got a fun little outro for you guys I think you'll like. Let me check in. Jake Moore says straight men don't call women tough cookies. Marty Mack says Trump just loves to hear himself talk. He doesn't even think about what he's saying nor cares. Do you smell what the croc is emitting, says Knife Safety Plus. I sure did. Real John Doe says, can we just get to the Noah Hyde law as part of the story and get it over with? Yeah, right. Just get right to it. I guess we got a glass pooper. Let's check in on the glass pooper. You said you sent me a glass turd. I'll show that off to the class. You mentioned earlier the glass turd that I guess the Troons were making. Let's check in. All right, glass poop. Let's see the glass poop. All right. Oh, okay. Well, that's actually kind of adorable. Let's. I'll bring this up for you guys. Let's see. This is the glass poop. Mulgera said that I think he said they were showing off at the weird little I don't know the thing the other day, the whole Epstein thing, or maybe I'm mixing it up with something else. Either way, you said you saw this somewhere. No, you said it was at some pride parade. That's what you said. Here is it. Here they are. Here's it says Fursuit Dookie. They're kind of adorable, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't really, I don't know, it'd be a cool little ornament to have like on your desk or something. But it's like the emoji looking turd. So like I was thinking like a literal like turd, but no, they're just doing like the comical kind of like, you know, fast or not soft serve kind of swirl. That's kind of what the look is for the audio people who are concerned about the glass poop that Impur Hunter told us about, or Mogera. All right, let's roll the chat, see what else we got. Good morning, David Moore. I am saying she a gold digger, but she ain't breasted with no broke wiggles. Yeah, self-made money, self-made man money. Yeah. Let me see. 50% off all honeymoons to Israel, says Comment Mama. Good morning, Stahl. Pointing out Monarch. I don't know if you're pointing at maybe some of these, maybe Leave It and others. Yeah. Justin Valentine said after he made himself, he set out to make girls less than half his age, and obviously had a lot of takers. Actually, let me see. I want to show you this guy. I'll give him a little bit of credit. He's actually kind of not a bad looking dude for an older fella. So like for being 60, okay, all right, not bad. I mean, like not really like the most handsome, but here's his cover photo. I don't know. I mean, he's not like what I think of for a 60-year-old. So like, hey, props, dude. Maybe he's just crushing it in life. I don't know. Yeah, that's the only photo. Oh, here's another one of him. Here's for those. So okay, he doesn't look like he's 60, but he doesn't look like a. It's a little more. It's a little less weird. He kind of looks like that. Like kept his shit together. Probably got a little bit of work done, but okay, still weird. It's still a little odd that a 20-year-old is banging a 60-year-old, but whatever. All right, Martin Max is a Viagra use is strong in that relationship. Softball scholarship and a very old husband, says Comment Mama. Seems a little fishy. Good point. I didn't even catch that one. Good morning, Fred44. Says Epstein cover-up is to protect Israel and both parties serve their master. You're not wrong. Marty Mac, anytime you see a successful girl boss, there's always a man or men behind it. Yep. Sometimes a man behind and in front. That was a gross joke. Let me see what else we got here. Bug Fight says, I respect getting your shit together. I'm assuming meaning to what's his face. Although I'm digging into some of the weirdness about his past. I don't know to what degree he got together. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still some sort of weird alcoholic. I don't think he's the badass he tries to make him out to be. Did you ever see that like a video where like him and Cash were doing like workouts for the troops or whatever the fuck? There might have been separate things between him and Cash, but I've seen him try to do pull-ups and push-ups, and they're kind of a fucking joke. Let me see what else we got in here. They're working on a super soldier prototype. They become a homeless alcoholic 2.7 times faster than the mean. Yeah, I mean, what the stuff we read earlier was like aggressive military behavior, so it's not even really that crazy, but is like incredibly over the top. Shlomo, says Justin. Really? Yeah. Baby formula. Yeah. Good morning, Jacob. Says every time I see someone got busted for fraud and money laundering, I automatically question they're involved in drug smuggling, or smuggling drugs, guns, or people, or all three. I think we got, what did we got? We got money in that one, and there was drugs. I don't remember there being guns in that we just read. I didn't hear people, although I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, Marnimax is not gonna lie. I'd put that on my mantle. Yeah, the poop thing's not so bad. I kind of like it actually. So it's kind of cool. Make a good paperweight, like Wise Elk says. I mean, it'd be like a thing my daughter would think was cool. She'd be like, that's funny. That's something she'd have on her desk. So I think it's kind of adorable. Good morning, JC. I think I already said good morning to you. See, Marnimax says he's cute. I'd smash. He said, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of coming back on. He's like, for an old guy, not bad. Especially when you're at. Keep in mind, this guy's probably a fucking millionaire. His dick just doubled in size all of a sudden to all the ladies in the world. When you're like, a handsome 60-year-old with millions of dollars. Those numbers don't seem so daunting anymore. All right, guys, let's roll on out of here. A little bit of a shorter episode today. Keep in mind, I need you guys' help. Tag me and stuff. I don't really spend near as much time online as I should. So help a brother out. Tag me and stuff at Tower Gang Jose on Twitter. That's the best way to do it. Just if you see a story out there in the wild, you're like, oh shit, this would be great for the show. Whether that's like introductory, like kind of icebreaker content, fun, funny, gen pop, whatever. Or even if that's, something like, oh, this would be a great deep dive on Jose's show. This would be a great thread or articles to find this or whatever. Or if it's foreign policy, or if it's just a fun little outro type thing, whatever. Tag me in it. Help me out. We've been in a weird kind of news has been like I wouldn't say it's in a lull, but it's like the field has been flooded with Epstein stuff. So it's like it is almost hard to find content sans Epstein. Like I'm still gonna cover the stuff because that's what's hot right now, and like it is a story I'm interested in, but I am also interested in other stuff. So be out there if there's stuff you like. Hey, other stuff you find interesting, tag me, tag a brother, help a brother out. You guys contribute to the show. You play a big part in it. But I should be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, barring any craziness. And if you want to support the show, you can do it I'm fucking jumbling up my words. If you want to support the show, one way you can do it is by liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, leaving 5-star reviews on iTunes or Spotify. And the places you can find the show are on YouTube, on Rumble. You can find it on Twitter at Tower Gang Jose. That's my handle there. And if you want to support the show in the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get early access to episodes. I usually do about 1 to 2 episodes per week. Try to keep about 4 behind the paywall at any given time. If that $2 level, you get access to early episodes. Like I said, the early episodes, you also get access to ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram. You get access to pre-show, post-show, and video calls from me and Austin's weekly live call-in show. Already Dead. It's a fun show. I always like talking to you guys. And at the highest levels, those are my sponsors. I give them a big shout out. Every episode is a big thank you for everything they do. I have my previous hosts on Tower Gang at Learn to Toad, also at ApplegateD, at ZOVRECK, at _Infinite Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly Cleeble, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Tackless, 1-800-CAR for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, Jacob Winograd of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. Go check him out. He just had Dave on. It was a fun show. He got lots of numbers. And if you guys are into that infighting stuff we covered on there recently, he had more to say there. But with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy this outro, this ever so adorable outro. This is what I just inject this into my life. This is basically my life, actually. Love you all. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.